What fucking angel.
Oh.
It's busy over here getting water for everybody. Okay, so guys, we're just here at the Crypto Kings Research Lab here with Spencer and Cam and Alex. We've got some guests today. I don't know if you guys can just introduce yourselves quickly, who you are and what business you're with.
My name is Ray, and we're just managing a bunch of mining farms out here and in Vancouver, and we're mining. We're managing one farm in New Brunswick right now.
Okay, so scale perspectives. Yourself?
My name is Miguel. I'm just a partner with the Ray and Z, and I'm new to the industry, and I'm definitely willing to learn and have the investor kind of mindset, and willing to kind of grow and learn in different areas.
And Ken, you're a scale miner. You do some research. How would you introduce yourself?
I am a crypto enthusiast.
Yeah.
And I like the way mining is going to be a part of something big.
He's right. Yeah. And Mike.
Well, I would self-describe myself as a consultant right now. I'm working with a mining operation out in Montreal, and we have over 1,500 GPUs. We're going to expand the next few months to about 10,000 GPUs with some space extra. And I'm also working with a stealth startup in the Bitcoin mining space.
Cool. Very cool.
And,
so we've certainly got some industry leaders. We've got some people at scale. We've got some people who are just getting in. We've got some people who are heavily in. We've got some OGs in the room as well. So he's shaking his head over here saying he's not an OG. I don't know. We got a couple OGs in here today.
when I got it, I didn't consider myself an OG. I consider myself a scrub.
The advantage is you've got all that time and experience now.
Yeah, I've been
give you good perspectives. Yeah, we've all seen the other side. So I think we're going to talk about on this podcast here. We're going to talk about the relentless bear market we've been seeing, how you guys have handled that, both financially and prospectively. If that changed your approaches at all, and we describe the reasons that we all had our asses kicked this year. We'll go over to where we think the upside, because this is a 100 times industry for sure. Lots of us in this room have seen 100-time upsides, more than once. 1,000 times upsides. Some of us, yeah. So we've seen some really good gains. So where do you guys think that we'll see those upsides, the bear market, come to an end? Is it going to be the STOs? Is it going to be mass adoption? Is it going to be the interfaces, the decentralized exchanges? We'll go over all that just in a sec. So over at the Crypto Kings, the bear market, we were lucky when we started. We looked at power efficiency. I looked at the junior gold mines in Canada, and I looked at them to perspective. They might only operate for 8 months out of 4 years. The play with the juniors is they get bought out by a company in China, right? This is how these mining operations, this is why you invest in juniors. And I looked at that as a mistake. This is where they're flawed. If you can keep your overhead low enough that you can operate out in those bleeding cycles, which all markets have, any traded markets have these bleeding cycles, if you can maintain profitability through that bleeding cycle, then I think you're positioned to be the most sustainable. Now, you might not see the highest upside. Platinum power supplies were $400 instead of server power supplies for $60. So there certainly was a cost to our perspectives initially, but at the Crypto Kings, we stayed green on all of our machines all year, and we continued to trade the floors and ceilings on a bi-weekly basis, 2 or 3 times a week, trying to take 10% gains. Usually small coins like Ethereum, coins like Bitcoin, coins like Ripple. We played real close to the top 10 for the day trading. And we've had an upside all year. So that's mostly that, along with our service sides. That's how we've been able to pay ourselves out throughout the bear market. Cam, what's your experiences been through the bear market?
So I had 3 days of where I would have had to have mined at a loss if I wanted to. I actually turned rigs off those days for maintenance anyway.
Good.
So I just kind of stacked something I have to do on a bi-monthly or every 3-month basis those days anyway, right?
Yeah.
Thankfully, I learned early enough that efficiency matters. So the only days where I was unprofitable were when Ethereum was under 85.50.
Yeah. Now for you, that's because you're in the U.S. and you're paying higher power rates.
Yeah. So my power after tax right now is about 11 cents U.S. per kilowatt hour,
which is surpassing, I think, what any of us in the room are paying right now, right? Now, what about you guys? What got you through the bear market?
So,
or what didn't? Where did you feel the hardest?
So we went about, I think it was about 3, maybe 4 weeks, close to 4 weeks of bear market, like we were in the red.
Yep.
But we treated
And
this.
Why was it the AMD stuff, or what
The
got
first,
you in the red?
like what actually got us in the red was we kind of took focus off mining and we put it more towards trading, actual trading, like margin
okay.
trading.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
even when we were in the red, whatever payouts we were getting, we would margin trade it and get back into green. But it would not be get back into green right away. It would be maybe get back into green in like 4 days later, 5 days later.
Yeah.
So
you're playing catch up essentially.
Yeah. So that's what we were trying. We were trying to do that till we realized, we can switch it easily to the hive and lower down the power consumption easily.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So
so you guys weren't optimizing.
No,
initially.
we didn't. We were on Windows. We were running everything on Windows first.
See, this is where Spencer really played value into our company. We were obsessed, and we tested all the video cards, and we tested week over week, month over month, constant. So you guys got into that. You guys came to that understanding a little bit later, during the bear market. You realized the value in some of that undervolting and some of the throttling, some of the memory stuff.
No, the undervolting and everything was done efficiently to a certain extent on Windows, but Windows will not take it so low as what Hive does it. Yeah. So we were the only one time it was which was those 3-4 weeks was on the 1080 Ti's. That was the one that we were running low on. So other than just margin trading, that's all we were dealing with. Just getting the payouts, margin traded, get back to the green. Sometimes we made like a lot of good money from the margin trading that we would not even make. But that's where we kind of like developed ourselves, was like we got X amount of knowledge for mining, let's get X amount of knowledge for trading, and then eventually we can bump heads with both of these sections, so that's what.
So did you guys take out money on a regular basis to cover your overhead, or how's
no,
that business model going?
So what we did
You're dealing
was
with investor money mostly, right?
Yeah. So what for the farms itself, the only time money came out from the investors was for lighting, for electricity. Sorry, that was the only time. And our electricity for the farm in Burnaby was about $3,000 per month, something like that, 3,000, 3,200. And the one in downtown, the downtown was, I think it was 45, close to 5,000 because of their increase of
the high rate there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Ken, what got you through the bear market? What were your experiences like this last year here? Kicking all of our asses, Jesus.
Kicking our asses.
Kicking our ass, kicking
us
hurting
around.
Perspectives, getting made fun of by the central media players.
Everyone's been very doubtful, I think, of the crypto field this year, and a lot of people have been showing very little interest, but I think it's optimistic as long as we hold this.
So you've been holding throughout the bear market.
Holding throughout the bear market.
So you're part of the hodl gang.
Hodl gang.
Yeah, we've got a few of our clients that are very. The hodl gang. Let me say this: the hodlers will see the most upside long term because they will get burned the least. The trading day to day, we liquidate every 3 to 4 weeks, always into fiat to cover all our overhead, and that's I think is the best business practice. But if you're talking 1,000-time upside, if we're talking $120,000 Bitcoin, the hodlers are going to be the guys who won. It's the amount of policies and practices in place to trade, to margin trade like this, to liquidate, to hold fiat. It's really hard for people to stay disciplined with, I should say. It is a discipline. Mike, we're going to get to you, but you got something to say about that,
Well, there are issues, especially considering the Bitcoin mining space as it is right now. Like, home miners can't really make money at home, so you can't really say that. Because when you have like these large mining operations mining a shitload of coin, they have to sell every month a decent amount to cover costs.
I was
You
honestly
say
going
that.
to say, though... I was going to say the fact that I wasn't an at-scale miner probably helped me this year.
Probably.
Oh, of course. But no, we have clients that don't care about the overhead. They suck up 100% of the power. I yell at these guys. I stomp my foot and clap my hand. No, you need to take your overhead out. And I say to them 4 times in a single conversation. I snap. No, business. This is a business. Gotta cover your overhead. Zero downside, right? Because the only way we can all get fucked on this is if we never take our gains, right? You have to take gains eventually. But explain to me your perspective to the bear market. What kept you as a hodler? How did you hold that enthusiasm all year?
I held it. I held back some very painful moment, like nice hacks.
Yeah. So
like,
you were affected as well.
Like the last 2 weeks as well. Very painful times for everyone. What held my enthusiasm mostly was the fact that there's the upside and there's the window still, I think, of a cyclical back to the high of 2018.
Of course.
And I think this is kind of cyclical market behavior can also happen with Bitcoin.
So Ken, you were just telling us about the reason you're holding. Sounds to me like your main reason for this long-term perspective is you're looking at Bitcoin at large. You're looking at it as a disruptive technology. You're looking at it disrupting currency and having, I guess, a exponential effect on markets at large, right? So you really do see it changing everything. Is this why you're such a?
I think I'm enthusiastic still about the market. Is because the cycle itself does not continue unless we actively mine, actively trade. And for example, in the 2017 end of year, there are some people that say we want to play towards the market.
Yeah.
There were some people who wanted to play against the market or exit the market early. I am still optimistic about this market, and that by hodling we can still overcome some of these pains and sort of play into the field the fact that yes, there's still chances for adoption.
Yeah, of course. And there's cycles like you mentioned, which is a really good point. We have to work through the cycle to see the upside. We can't just expect to jump in once the upside comes again. By us remaining profitable and being involved in the bear market, we see the largest returns, and we enter the bull markets with the largest understanding and the strongest network, essentially. That's I can appreciate that. We have several clients at scale which operate mining facilities in the same way. They're very long on things like Raven or Bitcoin or Ethereum. Very, very long, covering all of their overheads, all of their fees, and just investing hundreds of thousands of dollars into infrastructure, and without batting an eye. Now, for me, it's very hard for me to take that particular perspective. But again, ultimately, the $100 that you've paid off for your power or your door or your construction or your contractor, by sucking that all up from other investments, you're keeping all of that money tied into the market, right? And that's what some of us forget. We like to sell off. We like to say we're paying for overhead. But every time we pay for overhead, we get a little less of an upside, right? And so there is definitely a ton of value to that perspective as well. Now, Mike is a little. I would. You're pretty analytical, right?
I would classify that as one of my strong suits.
Yeah. So you're a more logic-based person. You're looking at this more from a research. You're trying to get in the weeds more than anything else. Right?
Yes, and I would describe myself not as optimistic, but more as jaded, but not hopeless.
Now, so tell us about your jaded. So, of course, the bear market, but you're one of those people I was referring to as an OG. So where does that jaded nature come from?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't consider myself an OG. I would consider people who were prior to 2012, 2011.
Sure.
But
sure.
to people now, it's 6 years. Like, fuck, that's a long time.
Yeah.
But for me, it comes in because I've been in crypto for long enough that I'm not a millionaire, and it's kind of a shame. I've made every wrong decision at every point. I bought miners when I should have bought Bitcoin. I should have bought Ethereum. I called it a scam. When I should have bought these ICOs, called it a scam. And each time one of these bubbles came up and went, I missed it. I was right. Technically you could be right.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're priced right. You're right now. And doesn't mean it's the optimal decision to do.
There's always money to be made day to day if you look for it.
Yes, but that is what taught me a lot about my decision making in 2017. We actually, when we got all our miners, we spent all that money on 1,000 GPUs plus. we actually sit them in storage for about a month, 2 months, looking for the right place. We didn't just sign the contract right away. Like, yeah, we have machines, put them in, 10 cents, great. You can do it in 10 days? No, we took our time. We looked for a place that had really cheap power, under 5 cents Canadian. And we made sure we leveraged it. And we were profitable throughout the entire bear market. We saw up to 40% profit. So for every 10,000 we were spending, we were making 4,000 in profit, which is pretty good. And that was in the lowest of times.
Nice.
Yeah, and I love to put all my GPUs on NiceHash too, because at the end of the day, what happens is NiceHash just dump all your altcoins onto Bitcoin, and it causes their price to drop. So it supports my philosophy. But
explain to me your experiences with the bear market over the last year.
Yeah, it's all about optimization. It's all about optimization.
Okay.
Don't rush into things. Take your time, think it through, and if you have an opportunity to save a penny, save a penny. Especially when you're talking about kilowatts or megawatts of power, because you're talking about tens of thousands, hundreds of $1,000s off your bill.
Cost of production.
Yes.
Very important metric.
Yes.
Exactly.
And Spencer, how many fucking cars did we test? How many cars did we run through profiles?
But you know what? One more thing that's important I just want to add, man, is that's been really helpful to us is the fact that we've been able to demonstrate to our investors that we're making money in the bear market, decent money. It's going to help us a lot with expanding.
Yes.
Having spent that time initially optimizing the operation so that we are actually profitable in the worst of times, we'll be set up for the best of times.
Yeah, and getting that all on the books too is going to be huge.
Oh yeah,
most people aren't keeping that stuff. You guys keep good audits. You guys keep, of course we're doing our interview. Spencer and I's approach to all this is we pay all our taxes. We just reinvest most of the money that we make through our services and through our hosting back into blockchain, so that we can see the largest upside later. And we do that through holding. We do that through reinvestment. We do that through development. We do that through hiring contractors to build out different aspects of the industry for us. What's your perspective? How do you guys? Are you guys tax friendly, or do you have a lot of clients?
Of course, it's got to be tax friendly, man. You can't let a government come after you.
Well, this is it. A lot of people though.
That's an issue, right?
We have clients that may or may choose not to mine things like Monero and things, so that they feel it's easier for them. We don't support that. We encourage everybody to pay their taxes, but there's definitely lots of people in the space who are doing this in their informed or uninformed perspective, is to skirt a lot of that government control, regulation, taxes, and other things like this.
But here's the thing, how many of those guys are mining to separate wallets that they'll never ever use again, and they're actually taking proper steps? Because as we know, one of the benefits of the blockchain, it's all out there for the world to see.
Yeah.
So if the government ever wants to go back and look, and then cross-reference that data set against taxes paid, be a very easy way to find a lot of people.
It's all going to be reversed.
It would be very hard to do it in a shady way at a scale. Yeah, you could probably not declare a few hundred miners, but once you're scaling to megawatts and megawatts of miners, then it's going to be very hard. The hydro company knows.
Well, this is it. Right. This is
if you're in a Quebecois like myself, Hydro-Quebec is the government. It's a socialist, you know what I mean? No, they're literally the government. It's a
like
socialist institution.
Yeah, it's like ICBC out here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like BC's insurances?
Yeah, it's government.
Okay, well.
No, it's super sketchy. I miss Ontario. The problem is when I was in Ontario,
only for that fact.
We just wait for one more. Yeah, when I was in Ontario, I was a young man riding a motorcycle at the age of 16, so insurance and I didn't get along very well. But upon reflection, Ontario is far cheaper for a lot of different reasons.
Oh yeah.
Right now, the guy who hit me off my motorcycle, it's my insurance is suing my insurance. So it doesn't sound quite right. But hey, that's BC insurance. So Mike, you got to the bear market through efficiency. You remained profitable.
Yes.
And you focused on a lot of research and development back-end wise, right? Increasing your knowledge base, like Spencer and myself. We've been obsessed about the learning from the sounds of it.
Yes, exactly. And like for myself, I understand my value add to a lot of these companies, and a lot of times it's like, to help them approach new projects, pass the sniff test, and also scout out new opportunities.
Right.
Like, hey, this new thing's coming up, you should check it out and get in first, because as we all know, early adopters are the ones that get the worm.
Or get wrecked. Like with Squirrel Research. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Acorn debacle, the GPU accelerators.
Hey man, without risk, there's no reward. But if you don't do your due diligence, you should get burned.
We do get wrecked sometimes too. Things get wrecked.
Man, if I show you a picture of the first miner that I bought that ended up not like shipping, it was a scam. You'd be like, you believe that shit? You fell for that 6 years ago?
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, you can look at it in the Wayback Machine. I go like sometimes when I'm feeling sadistic and I just want to hurt myself, I type in, and I'm like, oh, and it's like, oh, what's the price? 10 bitcoins? It's like,
yeah. What would that be worth?
Like that pizza.
That was 4,000 US. The time was $400 a bitcoin. 4,000 US for the machine, like 10 bitcoins.
It's just so. Yeah, so we've all gotten through. Do you guys think bear market has ended? Do you guys think so? Let's talk technical analysis for 30 seconds here, okay? We haven't hit 4,000 Bitcoin again yet, okay? We did a couple months ago. We broke 150 on Ethereum. Ethereum has broken 160 again recently. All the floors continue to rise. It seems like every time it pumps, it's been dumping to an elevated floor. I personally feel like I told everyone a year ago to financially and mentally be equipped because, we could talk about some of the people friends of ours who've died in the space, and we don't really know what happened there. And some people, when they invest a lot of money and they lose it, people jump off bridges, like it destroys families, it destroys people's living. Not everybody comes at this stuff with a mature business return-oriented perspective. They're looking for quick money. They're looking for gains. I couldn't tell you how many clients we had that turned $4,000 into $1.6 million on ETH, and then still didn't want to take it out.
Alex, I got to add to that is one of the best things that ever happened to me was the fact that I blew my entire net worth 6 years ago on those Bitcoin machines because I learned really hard lessons.
And that's really
and that's probably why I'm really analytical because I'm like, I don't want to let anything happen again.
So what that means is that's why Mike is the smell test guy because he's seen it, right?
I got the schnoz.
You've experienced it. A lot of people that come to us have had hacks or other things.
Oh man, I've been targeted for hacks. People have tried to hack into my Binance Big Tricks account. It's been nuts.
Hey Spencer, do you want to go jump in the car? How long are you gonna be?
Probably it's gonna take me 20 minutes each way.
Mike's just on the way over from.
I gotta go.
You can. I'll be here with.
Okay.
Everybody else when you get here.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, where do you think we are in the market cycle? Anyone feel free to jump in.
So I think we're kind of near the end of a bear market, but we're still in clearly a bear market.
Are we at the bottom? Have we saw the bottom?
So I don't know. There's a lot of resistance, like you said, that we've been looking
4,000.
at. Yeah, I mean, but then on the flip side of that, if if Bitcoin closes below 3,750, I could potentially see a floor of, $1,200, $1,500 Bitcoin prices in our future. In a way, if we can plan for it, that wouldn't be the worst thing. It's a good buy opportunity. But at the same time, watching the markets today, and there's a lot of support around 3,800. So it's possible we could be at the floor. It's possible that we've got a little lower to go. But I think either way, we're primed for a massive bull breakout.
Okay, now that you just said both things at the same time.
Or bear versus bull.
No. I mean, do you think that we're going lower, or do you think we're at the floor? I think we saw the floor. I think $1,500 Bitcoin is impossible before the next bull run. That's my opinion. What do you think? Are you still you think we could see $1,500 Bitcoin still?
I think it's possible, but honestly, I'm not. My official bet is that we've hit the floor. At the same time, I'm hedging my bet a little bit in case we did.
Mm-hmm. Okay, where are you guys at?
Well, I agree, but there's one thing that I kind of see as one of the key factors that's suppressing the Bitcoin price is the fact that the Mt. Gox trustee is 150,000 Bitcoin still.
Yeah, and it could crash the market again.
It's very scary, and there are appeals going on right now where holders at the time they want to be paid in Bitcoin. If that actually happens, that would be a wonderful catalyst. Because I've seen people who do technical analysis. I'm not one of those people. And they paint the dates when the Bitcoin addresses from Mt. Gox, the Bitcoins moved, and they tag it to the chart, and you can see dump. No,
there's clear correlation between the Mt. Gox sell-off of the customer assets to pay the legal fees and the other things that were involved with that, there's clear indicators that they could have been. There's clear indicators through almost unarguable technical analysis and research that shows that they could have been a very, very high part of the market crash.
So
a very, very big part of it.
One thing I don't understand.
Tether as well, which I've heard interesting, is that pairing with Tether has caused a huge devaluing in Bitcoin as well. Now, this is something I don't want to. We can talk about this. I would love to hear if you guys still think we're at the floor, the rest of you. But we should circle back to this Tether stuff. I want to speak to this as well. So, what do you guys think? Have we hit the floor?
I feel this whole market cycle, if you look at it, I feel will boom only when the financial crisis will happen, I think in 2020.
Yeah, and there is
because
a financial...
most of the charts are telling that. Right now, it's a holding game, right? You have what you have. Mm-hmm. You accumulate, you collect all more. You do trading, do whatever you got to do. But I fear when 2020 hits, that's when you will see a bull run. And because more people are already going to lose money in the stock market. And most of this whole thing is controlled by Chinese Chinese government. And so probably
so you think the fleeting outside of traditional assets like precious metals, like stocks, like commercial property, like other investment. You think a lot of people will pull out of the consumer markets?
I feel what's going to happen is people will go both ways. People will go to lean to gold more, and buy that because it's a tangible asset, as well as they will see the previous gains of Bitcoin, and they will get enticed to lean towards Bitcoin as well, which is an intangible asset, but you can convert and get it tangible to fiat currency.
It is wonderful qualities, though, right?
Yeah,
Gold has
and
particular
it is.
qualities.
Just on that note, right there, and this is what I think will be the catalyst as well for a market shift is when the U.S. Feds raise interest rates. When that happens, that's the move to really watch out for.
And right? That's all related. That's
yeah.
If they do this, it's going to
cause the financial crisis that you're referring to.
Yeah, and today all we see is the financial crisis going to happen. If you look at the charts, if you predict the charts, look at from the
Trump has propped up the industry very well.
But it could also relate to the election, which is also in 2020, right?
Yeah.
So everything is so closely it's like a chain. It's like we talk about blockchain, but this is like a chain related to another chain, which is blockchain.
Yeah.
And it's all funding and
it's just like water. We can see the ripple effects happening.
And when U.S. government will legalize cryptocurrency and recognize blockchain, that's when we will see more people are adopting and mass adoption.
But you're already seeing that at the state level now.
State level.
So Colorado recently and Wyoming also are two very
will take crypto for taxes.
Well, no, Ohio will do the crypto for taxes, but
and Utah,
Colorado will they've reclassified Bitcoin from a security
as an asset, as a currency asset.
Now it's a currency asset, and they did that at the state level. So now, that's going to bring up a couple of interesting things. A, potential for mass adoption, but B, it's also in the U.S. going to cause a massive states versus federal rights fight.
And they don't want that.
And that's going to happen over the next couple of years, which again coincides with 2020.
Yeah, and everything relies on 2020, and even Dubai World Expo is in 2020. So mass adoption is amazing down there because there's millions and millions of people coming into Dubai.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's just money being flushed into there for development right now. Development cycle.
That's how it is, and I feel everything is. See, look, China already has the setup for mass adoption of Bitcoin or any type of cryptocurrency.
You guys keep saying that. What do you mean by that?
Why? Because everyone's using digital.
I think you're referring to WeChat Pay.
Yeah,
people pull out their phone, WeChat.
Mobile payments.
Everything is digital. Yeah.
The social system.
Everything.
The social point system.
It's very rare to see a Chinese person down there with cash in their wallet.
Or credit card.
Very rare.
It's very rare. It's touch. Even at the toll gate, you can put your phone out there and pay it from WeChat.
Africa and India are the same ways right now. The mobile payment solution is far exceeded.
But it's far exceeded, but still, it's not that valuable.
But China has the infrastructure. It is I feel it is
Well, they're
leaning.
certainly with
They
the
have the
5G
technology.
Well,
technology.
you could argue infrastructure exists here in the West, right?
But
What is it?
not
Cell
so.
towers and cell phones
Canadian
and apps.
infrastructure's dog shit.
Yeah,
What-
it's-
what-
What
what's the world
infrastructure,
here?
man?
What infrastructure? We are like
No, really.
using like.
You look at even oxygen
Us in
sites, they
Australia,
can't even handle
It's
traffic.
the least amount
man.
of
They
person
crash
per
out.
capita.
Wow.
Yeah, so you get the least amount of people in the world in Canada per cell phone tower. And not only that, we're also caught up in the telecoms monopolization and manipulation of the markets. And the breakouts like Quebecom and SaskTel and these other groups that have tried to get out of it, it just hasn't worked. So what we're referring to here with the infrastructure issues, that's a monopolization, capitalization.
And that's a federal
antitrust
issue
stuff.
because
It is a federal issue.
they
You're
need to
right.
step in
They
and
do.
they need to like figure out because see if you gotta Canada and US is a country and if you gotta portray a country to the world, how are you gonna do that in terms of infrastructure when you're staying like way
Well,
behind
if you, the
compared to other infrastructures and all.
if you look at the telecom industry in Canada too, we subsidize the shit out of our
yeah,
companies.
why?
Well, yeah, why? That's a good question because we
Why?
paid for fiber everywhere and we don't have fiber.
They owe us $8 million, $9 million in infrastructure that's never been built in the very smallest amount of conceivable
Yeah.
money.
It's
What
not
you're saying is exactly right.
like we subsidized infrastructure that never got built.
It never got built.
That never got built.
And there's also
And that's sad. We are living in Canada and you
Right.
have countries like Dubai going in there and throwing money and
You
building
know
infrastructure.
what's interesting? I found
and
out
buildings.
about Quebec is anywhere where they run a hydro line, they run a fiber line. So
That makes sense.
if I'm in a warehouse in the
You're gonna dig a hole.
nowhere,
and they
You're
own,
gonna dig
and
a
they own
hole.
the line.
put a conduit,
What
run
a
some
smart
fiber.
play.
They do it.
Well,
Socialist,
and think
yes,
about it, you're not
but
gonna get
sometimes
any
you
kind
do
of
smart things.
frequency
Yeah.
interference
Yeah.
from water lines. You will from electrical.
Yep.
Or-
So Ken, I want to ask you, what do you think is going to be the catalyst out of this bear market? Have we hit the floor? And what do you think is going to be the push to that former returns and say the 6.7 times returns over the last former high that so many intelligent technical analysis are touting? What do you think is going to bring in that move?
I think it has to do with a power struggle, mainly, and also conflict. So you're talking about a country like China. It's actually state socialism. So we know that the state owns a lot of the people's property. If you're looking at real estate, then there's going to be a certain amount of years on that real estate before the government is allowed to collect it back. So I think that is the same.
Same with the commercial industry, a
Same
lot of
with
this as well.
commercials, yes.
So much subsidies for the power, for the export, all these things, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
But those subsidies really should belong to the people,
Mm-hmm.
and the people who have worked there, who have done a lot of the building of the backbone, has really suffered from the dividing effect.
We call it the
So-
China hustle. They give you the
China
money, and then when you can't pay them back, they own it, right? This is
why China thrives, man.
this is what they're doing essentially with these subsidies and with these businesses and these leases, right? With these terms on everything, essentially they keep it in their control the whole time. They allow you to operate through their gracious investments and subsidies, allowing you to bring your cost of operations way down and allowing you to operate 24/7 and bring in more employees and scale things at unprecedented rates compared to other countries. But then they become the masters in the end, right?
I really think if we look at it as a vicious cycle,
Okay.
then it is sort of animalistic, because the people are eating the dregs of the gentry still up
Yeah.
to this day. And if we look at how crypto might be a savior to this sort of needless, endless cycle, then it's possible that some of this technology that we embrace here so freely in the West can be adopted by developing economies, hoping for economies that are opening up to free markets.
Yeah, outside of that closed market and into the free market, for sure. Now, you guys here on my right, you guys have a very, I guess, authoritarian very, I wouldn't call it conspiratorial, but you certainly think that there's a lot of factors at play, a lot of hands controlling things. Where I take more of the perspective that China is very sophisticated at their business and their business operations and the way that they deal with outreach. They're essentially building the Silk Road, but physically now, through trading hubs and through infrastructure and things of this nature. I do, however, see a major force changing the face of China on a regular basis, and to me, that's the young people. That's the young people that have gone through education, the people who are becoming the police chiefs, becoming the heads of industry, the judges, the lawyers. These people are coming to business and economics with a world perspective and with a more open perspective than ever before. Do you guys see a lot of some of these negative aspects of the business practices maybe being aged away, grown out of China? Do you think that they can grow out of a lot of these social issues that they're having still?
Okay, I have an example. Let's say today was 80s China. Some people would go to the market and then we would buy a dozen eggs. But as the market started to become free and people started to open up this developed world market, certain people started to pay, or certain ways of cooperating with each other through the market. And as the market developed through this cooperation, some
started see people using trust factors, working together,
yes.
Offering discounts, becoming business owners essentially, right?
Business owners, developing,
yeah.
And so leading to the 90s and the 2000s, a lot of this sort of cooperation amongst these local farmers, where we would buy a dozen of eggs here, a dozen of eggs there, they started to scale. And as they scaled, this sort of industry became more of a practical one. And as it became more practical, sort of the party members got involved locally. And
because there was upsides for everybody.
There was upsides, but
yeah,
sounds like Quebec.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
what it taught the world or the people from where I'm from, which is southern China in Canton, Guangzhou.
Beautiful.
Is that sometimes if you do, leave the market early, you may not be the one to reap the fruits of your labor. So that is why deep down I still believe optimistic about certain things happening with the crypto field, and I think even in developed markets like here today, I think there's still a lot of room for bringing in more enthusiasts, more scholars, more people with backgrounds in IT.
Develop more of these free markets. Yeah, you've seen that all around the blockchain space. These people are coming together and building out these markets outside of the current structure. What a beautiful perspective. How do you say that in Chinese? If you leave the market, you don't reap the fruits. Is there a saying for this?
Not in a direct sort of way. We have parables.
Okay, this is what I was asking. Yeah.
I think.
If you could, is there a parable that you think would apply to that same perspective or something similar?
I think in English would be a saying: a grain of hard work is a grain of gain. So
every bit counts, right?
Every bit counts.
Yes, and this is how we approach social media, and every little bit counts. This is how we approach blockchain, by cooperating. This is where we see our flourishing, by creating these small markets and by working together and by building trust, this is where we see the upsides. It's really interesting. So yeah, that's a very valid and practical application. Mike, what do you think about holding? Your guy likes to sell. What would you say to that beautiful perspective on this dynamic market? I'm confident that we're all going to see new highs. So
look, I think all of us have our own roles to play, and I think having miners who are capable of staying afloat is a very important thing. The fact that that's a thing, it's good. But however, people should buy and hold, and at the end of the day, we're talking all these geopolitics that'll affect the price, etc. I think at the end of the day, we just need to see green days, a green day, a green day, a green month. Another green month would be nice. A green quarter, that would be fantastic. Next thing you know, people are like, hey, I think this crypto thing, it might be decent time. Maybe oh shit, like it went up a bit. Let me tell my buddy, it might be a good time.
It's going to happen
how it works.
Quick.
So price is the incentive.
So a lot of the big technical analysis guys that come from the big firms and investment funds, a lot of the financial guys, crypto's really funny. If you look at the consumer level stuff, during the bear market, it's all everything's going to hell, the world's on fire, sell, sell, sell. In the bull market, they were telling you how to buy, and in the bear market, they were telling you how to sell on CNBC. It's just sideways. It's all sideways, right? But that's the narrative they feed to the consumer level. If you go and look at Bloomberg, if you go and read Financial Weekly, and you read these magazines, throughout the year, it's been all about the big players getting involved. It's been all about the development cycles. It's been all about the projects coming online. It's been about Fidelity and all these different funds getting involved. It hasn't been bearish in the big stuff. It's been bullish all year. So I think that these guys are right. They're saying that based on the previous cycles on Bitcoin, we will see 6.7 times the former value, the former high. So we're talking $120,000 Bitcoin. We're talking $6,000 Ethereum. So if these guys are right, and we're talking the highest, there's a team of 15 of these guys working for these funds, and this is what they're getting out of the technical analysis. This is what the numbers are saying to them. What's your perspective? Let's say we hit $100,000 Bitcoin. What are you all going to do with your Bitcoins?
Selling 80% and cashing the hell out. To
Yeah, exactly.
So Cam, you say take 80 out?
Take 80% out.
Keep the 20 as a dream team?
Yeah, in case we get $1 million Bitcoin one day.
Okay.
Similar, yeah, take his sense, man.
That's the thing.
You're selling at $100,000 Bitcoin?
100,000.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, Ken? $100,000 Bitcoin, you still hold?
Can't be too greedy, man.
Hodlers got to sell them at some point, otherwise they are.
Well, no, not if we're going to $1 million though. And then you lose 80% of your upside times 10.
Potentially, but think about the quality of life I get
Yeah,
in
there you
between.
Sure, don't get me
It is.
wrong. If you take that money out and reinvest it, that's a great financial practice.
Sure.
But let's not kid ourselves. What do most of these speculative investors do with the money when they take it out? They buy a fucking Beamer, right?
Yeah, dude.
Like they go first class to somewhere they have no reason to
Yeah,
be.
pull it off the lot, lose half your money right away.
This is it. I get on an airplane.
I'd rather buy property.
I don't get on a flight
Yeah.
without making a living,
Yeah,
property.
right? I go to a conference. I do business. I don't get in a bus on a tour without selling something to someone. Like everything I do pays for itself. So $100,000 Bitcoin, Ken, where are you
about
at?
it. I might if I had all the Bitcoin and they were all at that price, I would buy a soccer team.
What do you mean?
I would
Soccer teams are expensive, bro.
soccer team.
You just take it all out?
No,
and
no,
buy-
no, no. I would start like a soccer academy.
Okay, okay. This is huge.
Messi.
Yeah, there's less sponsorship opportunity and marketing and commercial stuff there for sure. Okay, Mike, what are you doing? You got $100,000 Bitcoin. What are you doing with it?
I'd be very emotional. I'd be very emotional. I would be
crying, shaking.
I would be angry because of all the Bitcoins that I've lost, and then
yes.
the ones that I had, and
all that overhead that we keep taking out. Ken's laughing at us.
I don't-
He's laughing at
I'm
us.
not taking no
I'm
way.
taking out overhead.
I'm
Yeah.
not- No way.
So you can
as much as I would like to sell them too, I probably might sell like 5-10% of my stack. But I have a weird obsession with these coins, like
Yeah.
personal attachment.
Yeah.
And
Well,
as jaded as I am, I just can't let go of these stupid things.
Everyone stopped taking Charlie Lee as seriously once he sold all his Litecoins, right?
Oh yeah, I love to call my friends who are telling me about Litecoin, like, oh, it's better than Bitcoin. Like, really?
Ask the founder. Ask the founder's portfolio. Yeah. So isn't that such an interesting conversation that even at $100,000 Bitcoin, there's people sitting in this room who are telling me that they're only going to take small gains and hold on to the remainder of that. And the majority of you suggested you would hold on to at least 20%. Isn't that interesting? Now, I think that's because we're all heavily involved. I think if we were in a room full of speculative investors, the answers might be different. I think we might hear
that would be a
like,
great conference or question to ask people at the conference tomorrow.
We should interview everybody.
But you know what the funny thing is too? It's kind of they're looking into the minds of how they would think in the future. Because if you're going to sell in what is 100K 100% in dip, like even this is a bubble, you're just trying to milk it. Like is that your goal? Is that the end game?
I love milking it. I try to milk it on a weekly basis.
Yeah, but
we already all agree that Bitcoin is cyclical. And any good trader will tell you that buying the dip is important and selling on the highs is important.
How would you define breaking the bear market? We don't get new all-time lows, or we return to old all-time highs?
Okay, so let's ask. Do you guys think that all the coins will chase Bitcoin this time?
Well, they're pegged to Bitcoin. Like they're
well,
priced
we know
in Bitcoin.
That formally because of the trading pairs. We spoke about this, right? Do you think that that's going to continue? Do you think that's going to happen this next bull run? Do you think that's going to happen indefinitely?
We've been trending towards more USD to altcoin trading pairs.
Yeah,
and that's disruptive.
As much as I want to say Ethereum's going to break out and everything, I look at even with the USDT debacle with Tether.
Ethereum and Ripple are far outside the deviations of Bitcoin, even just recently.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that if you look at, even with the bad stuff that happened with the Tether and everything, USDT, look at how many other stable coins based on US dollar were released after that. You've got, 3 or 4? USDC,
There's a lot now. Yeah. And they're insured and properly audited and regulated and exchangeable at any time.
This goes back to our talk about the JP coin.
Well, yeah, why does Tether still exist? Why are people still using Tether as a
first to market? Same thing with Bitcoin. There's better blockchain technology out there than Bitcoin.
You guys saw it fail the audit, right? Tether didn't pass the audit.
Oh yeah, no, they're horrible.
Well, they delayed the audit for how long?
They can't account for any of the money that they're supposed to have backed against this supposed stablecoin. It's like the Greek bankers holding.
So what's the word? I think it's called fractional reserve fiat bullshit.
That's exactly it. Guys, if you guys didn't Babylon, you didn't learn about. You guys didn't read your.
See how the U.S. Treasury works.
Yeah, you gotta look back to all the old markets and how once they started lending out those tickets, it never stayed above board for very long. So unless it's completely accountable on ledger.
Let's just say the Austrian School of Economics clearly won. Everyone in the world is in that camp. Like I'm hard pressed to find someone in Bay Street who's against. They're like, you have to manipulate inflation. You have to do this. You have to have. Otherwise, the economy doesn't constantly. But the question I have to ask is, do we always have to be in a constant growth? Is the economy not allowed to be cyclical in of itself? It seems like there's this.
Cyclical.
Huh? It is cyclical, but it's not. It's not built into people's nature. Like they want the permanent bear market. When it's going bear market, it's like crisis mode. People don't see it. And I feel if we had a stable currency like gold or Bitcoin or whatever, we wouldn't see as much of the boom bust that we see now right now. I feel like the cyclical nature is directly related to the fact that we're using fiat money.
I agree, but again, I think that the cyclical nature at this stage of Bitcoin is kind of important, as much as we all hate to admit it. I mean, let's face it, the 2018 shakeup was needed.
Yeah. But then we are back again in 2020.
Yeah.
We need another one because we forgot what 2018 was all about.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I think there's one thing that we're forgetting about, and that's how many people, through the use of Bitcoin as an emergency economy, there are now versus last time.
Yeah.
And I think that's really going to be the thing that swings it. So like you said, a lot of people are going to go for their precious metals, their gold. That's a stable investment. But I know personally a lot of guys that are going to go probably between 25 and 50% into crypto.
Yep.
Of course.
And
of course. Bitcoin, right? Like Bitcoin's going to be the top every new, like anyone who's even heard about cryptocurrency, the first things on their mind is Bitcoin. So
Well, most people don't ask you, do you mine cryptocurrency? They ask you, do you mine Bitcoin?
Yeah,
it definitely has the brand
Yeah.
So
advantage.
was
But the
that
only
branded,
issue
right?
with Bitcoin that it drives me crazy is the unit bias. It's $4,000 for one coin. It's like, dude, you can buy a fraction.
Yeah.
You can buy
That's what
a
it is.
tenth, like
That's
a millionth
when
of a coin.
I feel, the younger generation in school has to get financially literate.
Help yourself, guys. We got some sushi going.
Cryptocurrency and
Grab some
everyday
sushi.
You know what?
financing.
It's funny you bring that up, man, because I as an IT guy myself, me getting introduced to crypto back in 2013, I have increased my financial literacy so much.
So on that
So
topic,
much.
I was not an investor before. Like I had some stocks in companies that I was given as like options when I started, but like I wasn't a quote unquote market player or anything. And because I could get in with $50 into crypto, for $100 into crypto, like that broke down the barrier for me. And honestly, like the amount of economics knowledge I've gained from crypto too has like I mean I struggle to think of an economics program that could do in a year what Bitcoin's done for me.
Yeah, and that's why I laugh at people who do like TA on like the altcoins, because I know for a fact watching these coins, I've seen these charts get painted. You just need one whale. One whale.
One person.
Oh, let me put a 10,000 coin buy order. Oh, it disappeared. Popped back up. Disappeared. Popped back up. You're like, oh my god, people are buying. You buy it up. Huge sell wall pops up. You're like, what the hell? Disappears. Pops up. It's classic. I've seen this for a long time.
Did you hear about so the other day we finished a coin in 12 hours.
What do you mean by finished? Sorry.
Ethereum coin. So instead of taking 36 hours, we mined one of our coins in 12
Oh,
hours.
okay,
7
okay.
hours. Did you guys hear what happened with the extra fees that happened? So they're showing that there's money laundering going on through block mining. So what they're doing is they're filling the block. They're transferring a small amount of coin, okay? But they're submitting the block to a private node, and then they're mining it privately. So they're using their private mining operation, and so they're acquiring the block fees privately. So they're able to look at that created request, mine that block, and then get that fee. Well, several of the blocks by mistake hit the open market, and one of them had $270-something thousand in as the mining fee, as the transaction fee.
It's
So,
wonderful.
as the gas was just way out. So what ended up happening is someone started investigating this, and they were looking at all these privately mined blocks that are going up from these nodes, and it looks like people are laundering money through the mining fees.
And
anything's possible in the crypto
like
space, man.
one thing too, I want to ask you guys, like,
Deep
I don't know.
stuff.
I don't know if you guys have any insight, but like, who's that unknown mining pool right now? That was like
Bitmain.
20%.
Bitmain.
No, the unknown mining pool. Bitmain has
Bitmain's got 70% of
BTC.com.
the Bitcoins.
Not anymore, man. They've dwindled.
I disagree.
Look,
I think
pull up-
Bitmain still owns 70% of the
Unless that
Bitcoin.
unknown network is Bitmain.
It is.
I don't.
Who else would
I
it
don't
be?
Well, I don't know. I've been.
Who else has 20%?
No, I'm thinking it could be
No, you don't think it's Bitmain? Ken, you're shaking your head.
I really don't know this one, but I think what's proof that it's not likely Bitmain.
Yeah,
Okay.
because here's the thing. You have a combination of the shrinkage of mining operations in China, a lot of which are operated by Bitmain. So you have the total net hash rate going down. At the same time, you have these upcomers bringing their net hash rate up. So you have this effect where it seems like this 20% came out of nowhere, but really what you saw happen, especially when Bitcoin dropped to like its all-time low, the hash rate dipped.
Yep.
Like it had a wonderful drop, which was good for miners who actually had profitable. But yeah, man. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Well, they've patched out the Ethereum difficulty run was actually a mistake. It was a bug that they just patched, and that's what they recently patched, and that's why that's the real reason that it's not people leaving in droves. That's why it dropped below 2,000. The difficulty rating. Oh my god, coin turnover is incredibly quick right now.
1.9 terahash.
Yeah, dropped under 2,000. It blew my mind. I never thought it would ever be under 2,000 again. But it was because a lot of the difficulty was inflated through this bug.
Yeah, but I really do think the unknown mining pool is Silicon, because I've been talking to some of the industry guys, and I see who's pushing a lot of machines, and I've been talking to some people about hosting contracts of like 40,000, 50,000 Silicon machines.
Oh shit.
So I'm really thinking it's them, and I know they've been pushing up production. And I don't know, their machines are quite decent considering current market conditions.
Don't worry, they'll sell them right before they become unprofitable, right, guys?
Yeah.
Isn't that the way the ASIC?
Yeah.
3 months before it's got any value, you start taking money for them, ship them out 4 months later.
You know, the thing is, I've been watching closely about the whole Bitcoin mining space is like how we move on to the 7 nanometer process node.
It's tough.
It's tough because it's a hard node to develop on because it's fucking small.
Yeah, NVIDIA's been having real issues with it. They've been honest about it too.
Well,
AMD's going to beat them there.
Well, the thing is, you have to understand is you're provided these libraries from the foundries, and these libraries have like tools in them. Like they help you develop. They're kits. And the 7 nanometer library doesn't have as many tools as the 16 nanometer library. A 16 nanometer library has a lot of different tools which could help you do optimizations for power intensive computes. But for 7 nanometer, I feel once we get to that point where those libraries are actually developed, considering how small the node is, we might actually see like a long domination of that node. Like I think people who get in early, who get sophisticated chips, will have.
I think 7 nanometers is the floor, personally.
So
for a lot of technical reasons.
Okay, yeah.
It depends how you define the nanometer, because some different foundries are shaky. Like Samsung defines it differently a little bit.
5 nanometer is technically the theoretical limit, because after 5 nanometers, you start to deal with quantum tunneling effects, right? Yeah. So you unless you're in a sub-zero temperature, right, you can't functionally process on stuff smaller than 5 nanometers. This is the threshold right now as far as science can
take us. And this is where we're going to change, just like way back when Intel introduced dual-core CPUs,
right,
hyper-threading, right? Like, we're going to need a technological advancement that's more software or
an architectural solution.
Right, versus a smaller chip. Now, I think what will change that is when quantum computing comes down in price, and then what you're going to see is a situation where your average computer has a GPU parallel stream processor, a typical x86 instruction set processor, and a quantum processor with an OS that's smart enough to discern what processor is going to be most efficient based on workload.
Well, now, we talked a little bit about the layer 2 stuff, but if we look at the internet and its development and networking technologies, it's all built up on layers, right? So now we've got about a 6 or 7 layer process that's used for what we would call the modern day internet. Do you guys think that we'll see something similar on if Ethereum doesn't, that the flippening doesn't happen? And I still am a believer in the flippening. I still feel that Ethereum's practical application value will surpass Bitcoin at some point. I know, I got a couple of people
I want whatever you're
looking at me like I'm wacky over here. But I think that its usage will demand a higher value. So I think the flipping is, I'm hearing them talk about it. But would you guys think that the layer 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ultimately will be where Bitcoin goes if it remains the dominant coin? Or do you think that side chains and some kind of sharding adaptation, because sharding will far surpass all of the existing technologies. In my opinion, sharding technology is blockchain 3.0. I think proof of stake is moving towards blockchain 2.0. So what do you guys think? Do you think that layer 2 solutions are ultimately going to be the thing that keeps Bitcoin usable throughout all these modernizations?
I was going to say that I think it's really, you almost need to invert that relationship a little bit.
Okay.
And I think that mass adoption is going to define what layers blockchain really functions on, right? And that's going to be because of limitations in other technology that blockchain has to connect to.
Yeah.
Because remember, blockchain is not, while it is its own ecosystem, ultimately it's not its own ecosystem. It's a player in a larger global community and a larger technology community. So that's why I think that you're going to see kind of an inverse of that relationship. It will be what drives market adoption and where the technology growth goes in the layer model.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, last question before we end the general topic here of getting out of this bear market. STOs, I don't know if you're all familiar. This is taking financial assets like stocks or equity or commercial and moving them onto a tokenized network and selling those tokens. This is mostly done for the reason of know your customer, meeting investment standards, being able to show income of certain amounts for 5 years, investing into companies and having existing relationships. All these difficulties that the Fed's put in place in the financial institutions can be kind of skirted with these STOs. A great example would be you buy a bunch of Apple stocks, You put those Apple stocks into a portfolio with several other stocks. You sell those Apple stocks or the portfolio on a token as an STO on something like Ethereum. Do you think that STOs are going to cause a large run in this year, or do you think we're all still jaded from the ICO runs?
I hope whoever does an STO goes to jail.
Yep.
Well, there's several people that have already had all the regulations met. So there's 3 already operating.
Like, what happens if the speculative asset of the STO surpasses the total value of the portfolio? It's worth it's total or horse,
or vice versa.
Yes.
I mean, either way, at either ends of the scale, effectively, an STO breaks down with crypto.
And typically with regulation, the hammer usually hits hard when investors are hurt.
Yeah.
Like if people actually lose money, then you're going to see the hammer get hit.
Yeah.
Like where were the regulators when BitConnect was doing conferences?
Oh, man.
Where were they? Nowhere. Oh, it's a known Ponzi scheme. Oh, let's arrest them now. People were hiding.
We screamed about that one too for a year and a half.
As you can imagine, I said it was a scam too.
Oh, it's a shame.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
see, this is why there needs to be regulations in play, right?
No,
it's
but
all
the thing
about
is,
the discipline before anything else.
Let me tell you something, buddy. There is regulation. You can't steal money from people. You can't defraud investors. It's already a law.
As an ICO, you can.
Well,
yeah.
Right now, blockchain.
But here's the thing, though.
Whatever you want, you don't get caught.
If you use the magic word blockchain and you confuse the crap out of regulators, it goes over their head. Then they won't be like, can I regulate this? I don't understand. Just because you're tokenizing something and putting it on a blockchain, what's the difference between me making a bunch of pieces of paper, tokenizing these papers, and issuing them? Oh, wait, it's a stock. Oh.
Well, most STOs are following the federal law and following institutional policy, NKYC, and all this type of stuff.
So do all of these penny stock companies who file.
You.
I file every year.
Okay.
Well, there's no pump and dumps going on here.
So it sounds like the sentiment is that STOs aren't going to be the catalyst.
If they are, I will sell all my bitcoins and eat my shirt.
Honestly, I think it's going to be a great way to make some money off of some very uneducated hands.
Okay.
Well, I second that.
Yeah, we'll leave it there for now, guys. This is Alex with the Crypto Kings and everybody else just getting off the podcast. So does anybody here want to advertise any way that they want to find you? Twitter accounts or YouTube channels? You guys got any of that stuff you want to care to share?
Yeah, you can follow me at Blockchain Tech if you liked anything I said or you want to talk shit. Go ahead.
Love it. Anybody else?
Please follow me on BitScrapper on Instagram if you'd like to see the venture.
BitScrapper, I love it. Okay, you guys found any?
Don't find me.
Yeah, don't find me.
Yeah, I'm good.
We're good. Okay, of course you guys know I'm on YouTube and Instagram and all that good stuff. But you know where it's at. Okay, thanks guys. That's all for now.